Welcome, everybody, to Everyone Deserves a Chance. Today, we have a special guest. His name is Salvatore Liberti. We're going to learn today breathwork. We're talking about how important it is and what are the benefits, and especially for you guys, entrepreneurs or people that never heard of. Like myself, I did a little bit in my life, but not too much. But now we have an expert in the field, and he's going to talk us through how he ended up doing this. Salvatore Liberti was born in Lima, Peru, and immersed through youth in sacred techniques of his ancestry. His family immigrated to Florida when Salva was 8, and by 12, he became the man of the house, assuming responsibilities beyond his years. Salva's life took a turn at age 17 after accompanying a friend to a Tony Robbins event. Inspired by Robbins, he joined the volunteer crew for multiple Date with Destiny and business mastery events. At 22, he was recruited by best-selling author, speaker, and coach Rock Thomas. He led the recruitment for the M1 Mastermind, a prestigious program for high achievers, setting him on a learning journey throughout Canada, Europe, and the US, eventually landing in Los Angeles to work with his clients and serving sacred plant medicine alongside Taita Cesar Lazama of the Putumayo jungle in Colombia. During these powerful growth experiences, Salva uncovered the practices of spirituality. He studies in Reiki, martial arts, plant medicine, Kundalini yoga, and various breathwork and guided meditation techniques provide the groundwork. He brings all to bear his unique style of teaching and healing craft. Today, he travels the world teaching techniques to help people heal themselves. Thank you so much for coming in, and welcome, Salvatore.
Bio, read that one. I enjoyed that.
Yes, that's so cool. You lost for a second there. We lost sound. So can you come back and say that again? The bio, you heard it for the first time?
I did. I heard it not for the first time, but sometimes it's a nice reminder to listen to everything that you've been through, and it helps you kind of come back into the present and gain a deeper appreciation for where you are.
This is very interesting because yesterday I had a conversation with a good friend of mine. He was climbing a mountain, and halfway he stopped and he looked down to see how far he came in life. And, when you look always up, you're striving for your top goals, you kind of get scared, I would say, fear, right? When you're looking up and see how far you have to go. But looking back, just like we did now, it's just a reminder of the hard work that you did. I'm just reading this, man. I know Tony Robbins, and I did not do Date to Destiny yet. And it's on one of the bucket listings. The reason why I didn't do it is because while I was doing UPW, I met few people, interesting people, and one of them told me, he's like, dude, after I did Date with Destiny, I divorced. I'm like, no, that's not for me.
Well, they do call it, it's funny, they call it Date with Destiny, but some people call it Date with Divorce, because so many people go with their partner, their significant other, and in that event, you talk so much about values and compatibility and masculine and feminine energy. There's a whole day called Relationship Day. And so if after that day, things don't line up, it's like, okay, well, I guess this is it.
Wow, I was scared to do that, man. I'm still working my differences with my significant other, and this is one of the reasons why I actually reached out to you. This is a personal journey to me. I became an entrepreneur, and in my quest of being the best in business and things that I'm doing, I stopped lacking the personal touch home with my wife and kids. And why am I saying this? It's not like it's a complete imbalance. I work from home. I'm home most of the times, but I'm not present. And this came from my wife, and hearing it from somebody else, and especially for somebody that loves you and supports you, it kind of hurt, and it hurt to a deeper level. I'm like, what do you
Mm.
mean I'm not present? I'm taking the kids there. I'm doing this. I'm home for dinner. I tuck them in bed. I tell them stories. I'm here for you. So very, very slippery slope when business becomes the number one focus and family becomes second. But my motivation and my why is that I'm doing all this for my family and for my kids. So somehow the lens that I was looking through got I don't know, just uh, foggy, I would say. Instead of having family first and business second, because I'm doing the business for my family, it ended up, for a short period of time, it ended up being business first and family second. So
Mm.
yeah, she brought it up, and this lack of presence, this is what bothers me the most. I've been through events. I've been doing personal development for years. I think of myself as being living my life in the present, right? That's how I take all my business decisions. That's what I do, everything I do. But reality, my reality at least, is not the same reality that I'm sharing with my family. And that shows even in business. Of course, there's a discrepancy there. Something's happening. So um, I stopped for a minute because I was almost close to that divorce moment. Um, and I still
Wow.
love my wife the same way I did in the first day, and it's the same exact thing from her. It's just that the relationship, it got drifted into this business mindset only, and run, 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 go get it, go get it, go get it done. And now I anchored myself in my own reality by reading few books. We did the same exercise. My wife and I read two books in the same time, and those two books were our lifeline, pretty much, for our relationship. And we grasped to it, and we realized that we still want to do the same things. We're just expressing a different way. And now I want to do this personal journey, and I want to make sure, with your help and maybe the recommendations of books, masterminds, classes, clubs, things that you have, we can get even closer to living in the now 100% all the time. Because right now, I think I'm somewhere around 30-70. I'm still, my mind is in the cloud, but now I got more than 1% that I had, a few months ago.
Hey, it's little by little,
Yeah, so
two
please take
millimeter
us.
shifts.
Absolutely. Can you please take us through your journey, through your personal journey? How did you end up where you are right now? I know you're not in the United States. And how did you end up doing all this spirituality practice, right?
So I'm actually in Norway right now. And the reason why I'm in Norway is because I travel around full time teaching breathwork events, help people empower themselves to use their breath to not only get back in the present, but to also heal their nervous system and to release whatever is happening and whatever's stuck in there. And it's funny you mentioned what you did, and thank you for sharing that. By the way, very very open, very vulnerable of you to talk about your marriage on a podcast. But hey, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah,
We get
absolutely.
real on
I
here.
wanted to give you some context because I'm looking for help, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I think you're at the right place because this is a place where I arrived very early on in my personal development career. I started with Tony Robbins when I was 17. So
Wow.
from an early age, I was obsessed with practical psychology, with achievement. I think I've always been a child who wanted to be the best at everything, but get the best grades, be the best athlete, and I was very well rounded. And that came from a self drive, but also I had a lot of stress in my family home, and my mom is a very demanding person. I love her, and she's amazing, though she is a very demanding kind of person, very like driven. And so she was the one who sent me to Tony. She's like, "You're going to Tony Robbins. You're not arguing about it." And I said, "Well, all right, fine. If you're going to pay for the trip, I'll do it." And I loved it. I loved the energy, and I loved the meeting of the minds in that space, right, where you're meeting people who are passionate about self development, passionate about achieving their goals, living their dreams. So I dove right in. I started to crew. I crewed over 15, 16 events. I've done like more than 10 UPWs, 2 Day with Destinies, business masteries, all these things. eventually getting recruited by the mastermind, how we met, M1. You were part of that as well, correct?
Yes, definitely. Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. And so that was a period of my life where I thought I had to achieve everything as fast as I could. It was all about getting stuff done. And yet there was a point where I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I actually wanted. I just wanted what others wanted for me, or what I thought was a measure of success, whether that was financial freedom, real estate investing, becoming a coach, becoming an entrepreneur, whatever all those things were. It was like, when you go to these personal development spaces, these seminars, this is what's presented to you as like this success. But I was 22 years old, 23 years old, with no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And because of the stress that I'd experienced from a very early age, I mean, since I was uh, 7, 8 years old, had some conflict in the family home, and I had my mom divorced, and so I became the responsible for my siblings and man of the house kind of thing at 11, 12 years old. And so there's so much pressure all the time that I enjoyed the intensity of the personal development world. Though what I noticed, and this happened when I was working really hard with M1, and I was being pushed to like become an investor and do this and do that, and I was like, but I don't know why. I don't have a why, and this feels like all gas, no brakes. That's the best way I can explain it. Right, it's always go, go, go. What's the next goal? What's the next achievement? What's the next business deal that you can get done? How much can you perform in a day, or optimize your miracle morning, or all these different things? And there was, for me at least, and this might have been a different experience for somebody else, there was no way to sort of pause and come back into that present moment and gain a measure of self-acceptance, of presence. And that, for someone listening, that may sound a little bit like kind of hokey pokey woo woo. Though if you can't start from a baseline level of like, hey, I am enough, and everything I'm doing is enough, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. This is where we talk about, looking back down the mountain, bringing that evidence with you, because it is evidence to say, hey, like, you are great, you are doing these things, and you can gain an appreciation for where you are and not always be looking up and saying, oh my God, I have so much more to go. Right? If you're always setting a destination, setting a goal out in the future, something that you haven't attained, how could you possibly be fulfilled in the moment? And that plays into a duality of our existence that happens here. It's a duality, it's a paradox, right? Where you're asked to hold the vision and drive towards that vision, and plan and execute, while at the same time, the other side of that is, if you were to die tomorrow, would you be perfectly okay with everything that happened? Would you be happy and fulfilled? And would you be okay with that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. My answer is full yes. Head on.
Fully yes.
Full
Love it.
yes. Yes, I
Mhm.
lived every second of my life the way I wanted. I'm the champion of my life on every single level. When it comes down to myself, now having family and kids, things changed a little bit, and I don't think I have adapted fast enough. But yes, through the work that I've done, I think my kids and family, they have the baseline. I would say they're not millionaires, billionaires. They don't live into the la la land of having for future generations. But what they have, and what my goal was, to give them the very beginning of self-development through personal example. That is doing these calls all the time, they know. That is reading a book, they know. That is going to an event, they know. That he has a seminar, they know. I mean, I did it through personal example up to this point. My kids are really young. And to myself, I'm fulfilled. I mean, everything that I've done up until now, I'm very happy with it. I would not change anything in my life or my career, everything I've done. But I feel like today I'm losing my footing.
Mm.
Today, the economy is shifting. The commercial world, especially the one that I recently entered, it's a Shark Tank. the interest rates, the government is pulling in different directions. So now I have variables that I'm not controlling, and they're pulling me in all directions. And the only place that nobody can take from me is my now moment. And this is my anchor. And I feel like I'm losing my footing. I feel like I need to know when the interest rates are going to change back to normal. I need to know when the war in Ukraine is going to end. I need to know. So now I'm looking, now it became a necessity for me, almost close to it, just looking through the business lens perspective. I'm kind of tired, man. I'm tired. Too much COVID, too much BS going on. I never believed in it. I still don't believe in it, but there are too many things going on, and I don't think they're my reality. But somehow everybody else around me thinks it is. So I got tired.
You're not the only one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, everybody lives, not everybody, but most of the people around me, normal people, they live in fear. And I want to live in love. And that's why I want to stay in love and stay in the present and manage my minute if I can, and my second, and my day. And I don't want to manage anybody else's. But it became an overwhelming chain of issues that I never had before. And now, even if I said it, then I'm like, okay, I'm successful because I don't have a TV in the house. I'm successful because I read. I have no idea what happens on the news. I'm successful because I'm doing so many other things that nobody else is doing. I'm going in the woods. I'm grounding. I'm walking bare feet. I'm weeding my grass instead of, I don't know, doing other things that people do. So those are practices that I've learned through Miracle Morning, like you said, Hal Elrod in his book, Rock Thomas, Tony Robbins. I feel like I took some of their, just like you said, the models, and I think the model now is changing in my head. So I thought, just like you said, that investing in real estate is gonna, make me fulfilled. I became that investor. Then I wanted to be more. I wanted to become an entrepreneur, to have multiple businesses. I started opening multiple businesses. I made a list of, I don't even remember, 60 or 100 goals, maybe we're like 100 goals. And it didn't take me long to realize that none of those goals were mine.
Mm.
None of them were mine.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
In these masterminds, man, everybody talks about it. I was talking to Roman, one of my good friends, and he's Ukrainian. And somehow,
I know Roman.
yeah, you know Roman, right? So somehow one of the guys said, "There's a plane in Russia that takes you out of space." God damn it! Guess where that landed? It was on my goal sheet. I'm like, I read it again. I'm like, what did I do for the past 5-6 years? I've been running to meet all these goals, and I met some of them. Some of them I completely forgot about. I have no interest because I realized they're not mine. And then at the end of it, I'm like, okay, being an investor is hard work, man. It has nothing to do with money. It's like working 24 hours a day, even 26 hours a day in a 24-hour day. Lack of sleep, lots of responsibility for so many people, and so many things that come in play. And I'm not complaining about it. I loved it because I work for myself. So instead of fulfilling someone else's dream, I worked on mine. But what happens now? The dream is not mine. Now, this is like, I feel like I'm in an Inception movie. Like literally,
well, I might say something that can ruffle a few feathers of the people that might be listening to this, though. I came into the personal development industry in 2012, and that's when it was really starting to hit its stride, with Tony's event turning from 5,000 people to 12,000 people, and it started to become really mainstream. And from that moment on, I witnessed something really interesting. Personal development became less about uh, knowing yourself. It became less about letting go of the stories, the emotional trauma of the past, and living in the present, and being able to live fully fulfilled. And more, it was less. It started to become less fulfillment and more about achievement. Right, the finance bros got into personal development, and it turned into more like Rich Dad Poor Dad. How can I reach a certain level of financial freedom? Because when I get to that place is when I'll feel completely fulfilled and developed. And so it started to, instead of becoming about self actualizing, it just became about how can I achieve more maybe it's not through my job, but now it's because I call myself an entrepreneur or coach or real estate investor. And it started to go in that direction. That's when I noticed, I was like, ooh, this is not my story. These are not my goals. This is not what I want to do. And it was really important for me to ask those questions. A dear friend of mine, Austin Linney, he said he's a great real estate investor and he has multiple businesses. And he goes, Salva, like, you think I like real estate? I don't fucking like it. I hate it, but it's a vehicle. And it's kind of fun to meet a bunch of people and work on these creative deals. But I don't enjoy that per se. And so that started to light a few light bulbs in my head and say, okay, what is my definition of success? What do I want my life to look like? And how can I live my story? How can I live my life authentically and stop idolizing the lives of other people? And just because someone says like, ooh, like I want to own 500 doors, like, and you say, oh, I want to do that too, you know?
Yeah, recently I wanted to own 30 doors, and my new mentor said, "How about 800?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay, 800." So yeah, I guess you get hijacked, and I'm guilty of doing it. Just
And I'm not taking away from those guys because I mean, on paper, right? They might have a lot more money than me, and some people they might seem more successful. But are they spending their time on what they want to do? Are they truly fulfilled? For me, I love my life. I love my life. I am free. I travel. I meet people every day, and I help them heal themselves while I'm healing myself. And that gives me a level of fulfillment and satisfaction that I don't know if I could get sitting at a desk and making calls all day and trying to grind towards something. And that's just me. Like that is my story. Like this is not, I'm not preaching this to say like you should be like me. I'm just saying look within, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, like, is this the life that I want to live? Whose goals are these? Whose beliefs are these? And am I living my life based on some idea of success or some notion of, okay, if this is what it looks like to be fulfilled? Because like you said, if you right now you were pushing so hard on your business that your wife brought this up to you and she slapped you in the face with, hey, you're not present and you're not here for us, what really, really truly matters, then was the
yeah,
real estate worth it? No, it wasn't.
no, that's one of the reasons why we decided together to sell our portfolio in real estate, to exit the short-term rental that we owned because it was too demanding and was taking away from family time too much. Like
And today, it's probably a good idea.
yeah, we decided to shift from it, but you see, we still need income, and so we're still looking into businesses. We're constantly moving the bar higher into the business field, and I feel that's happening to me. We're moving the bar higher into the business field because we don't want to go back to that W2. I mean, I cannot go back to that W2. I tried.
I
I
can't
just
either. I can't either. And I'll tell you something really interesting. I was reading a great book called The Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda, who was one of the great yogic guru masters of all time. He was actually the first person who brought yoga to the United States in the 1930s. And he talks about his master back in India telling him, listen, the era of the beggar monk, right? The monk that sits under a tree and asks you for coins is over. Yes, you can have these guys who are in the Himalayas meditating in a cave. Cool. But now today we have partnership, we have business, we live in this 3D reality world of, we need to produce income to be able to live unless you live on a fully sustainable farm. And that's your deal though. How can you find that balance once again in this 3D reality, this paradox duality that we live in of being fully present, being fully aware, and fulfilled with spirit, with love, with breath, with energy, and at the same time be able to maintain those responsibilities of the 3D world. So you're responsible here.
yes. Well, I'm looking for it. That's why when I go to
Yeah.
the ocean, I love the salt breath or the salt effect and the grounding of the sand. And it gives me, although I'm very tired because every time I go to the beach I do so many other activities, but then I feel so good at the end of the day and fulfilled, because every time I go there I go with my kids, with my family. So that family time weighs a lot more. Even if it's an hour or a day, it weighs more than a week, sometimes a month. I get stuck into that reality. I keep rerunning the movie in my head over and over again while I'm doing other things. So yes, tell me more. The book, that sounds awesome. I think I watched the movie. I
Maybe
literally watched the
there is a
movie with
movie about
Yogananda
him.
coming to United States, and I watched when he died and when his master died and how that transition was. And he said it before it happened, actually. He said it to
He
his,
did.
yeah.
He knew he was going to transcend,
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what he said.
that book changed my life. That book restored my faith in that idea. I at the time I was like, okay, I need to become a coach. I had just moved to Los Angeles. I was broke, and I was so stressed because I had no idea what to do. And then that book, I would wake up every morning and read a chapter, and it was like I would wake up and I would take a trip to India for an hour and just read and just understand the principles of faith, non-denominational faith, whatever you are, Jewish, Christian, Hindu, whatever you want to be, but just this idea that there is a a thread that is sustaining everything that we see and feel in this dimension and in others, and that it's all moving in concert, a perfect orchestra, even if we don't like it, or even if we want to gain control of the interest rates and the Ukraine war and what's happening with the debt ceiling. It's all happening for us, as Tony likes to say. And how can we navigate that with the most grace possible, with the most forgiveness for our own controlling selves? Because we wake up every day in our ego and say, okay, how can I control this day? And then we start to surrender to it. And eventually, and you and I talked about this when we first got together. I asked you, do you surf?
Yes.
Correct. You
Yes.
said you'd like to try. I'm learning. I'm not very good at it yet, though it's beyond just balancing on a board. It's the ability to commune with this ocean, which has it's you're not going to control it. It has immense power to shape coastlines, to break rock, to hold life inside it. And when you surf, you're in the absolute present moment. Right? We talked about being able to anticipate. Right? When you're in the water and you see a wave starting to form, that's when your mind comes in, because you can't with your heart. Your heart is not going to tell you, oh, that wave looks good, but your mind is going to say, okay, that's the right size, coming at the right speed. Oh, I see it kind of cresting. Oh, okay, it's going to break. That looks like a good wave. And then you start to paddle because you anticipated. And so you get yourself in position. And then that wave starts to come up. You feel that push, you feel that kick. You pop on the board, and then the mind shuts off because you're absolutely in the present moment. And if you don't surrender to the power of that wave, you're going to fall immediately. And so if you drop in and you learn to surf what's coming, maybe the whitewash, you're expecting it from the right, then it comes on your left, and then you have to make a turn and climb up the wave and come back down and gain more speed. These are all surfing things, though. In that moment of pure surrender, you have just bliss. You are in the moment. You get a shot of dopamine, serotonin, adrenaline. That's why it's so addictive, by the way, because there's a cocktail in your mind. And if you can learn to master that, it's such a beautiful analogy for life, because you can start to see, oh man, the economy is about to go to shit. I can see that in my mind. I process that because I have knowledge about this. And then when that comes, are you ready to surrender? Are you ready to flow with it? With, and stay in the moment, use your breath, trust that you're training, trust that your body, trust that everything that you know is going to take you through it, or are you going to panic and fall off the wave and get absolutely clobbered by a 6 foot, wall of water that hurts? I can tell you
I
that.
think you hit the right strings there. So the disconnect that I feel it's happening, and this is something that happens to me, and I see it around other people. The disconnect is between the information we have, the thinking, and the feeling. I think that's where the disconnect is, and it has to do with entrepreneurs, and it has to do with the way we do things. We think. The first question that people ask me about anything is like, what do you think about this, Silvius? I don't remember, not even my mom asking me, how do you feel about this, Silvius? Everybody's asking me, what do I think about it? So right away, I think about it. I get the command. I'm like, okay, you want me to think about this? Okay, let me do the exercise. So I go through the motions. What I feel, I have no idea. I think that I've shut down the feeling. And this is, it has to do with men, because women, and this is why my wife tells me I'm not present. She feels the moment. For me, the moment goes by me, I don't feel anything. Like my daughter's birthday. I knew I have to do this. I have one, A, B, C, D. I had a whole list of things to do. I didn't feel anything. It was like, okay, she turned another year. It happened last year too. It happened the year before that. The year before that. So it became, I'm happy. I feel the happiness, right? When she wakes up in the morning. But that's right about there, it ends the feeling. It happens for a fraction in the morning, and then that's it. My thinking takes over. And I start rationalizing, and like you said, the ego and the control. In order to control my day, I plan it. I plan to wake up at this time. I set the alarm. Everything is planned. It's like every half-hour increments, it's planned. Even today, everything is planned. I'm going to an expo in Manhattan. So the whole day is planned. And now, at the end of the day, if anybody's going to ask me, how do you feel today? I'm going to tell them how I think my day went. And it has to do with practice and exercise. And this is why I want to learn about breath work. I want to learn how to listen to my body. I'm a Reiki practitioner. I'm a graduate of Reiki twice, not once. I can't go to the second level because I didn't master the first one. So, and I don't want to teach anybody something that I don't master. So I keep going back to it. I know my chakras. I help myself sometimes with my back pain by balancing my chakras. So I know a couple of things about it.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't feel. I'm like, how do you feel about it as well? I feel love towards my kids, my mom, my family, and then I stop feeling. I don't even know what other feelings are out there anymore. Like I don't hate anybody. I don't feel distress. I don't feel displaced. I don't feel anything. So how do we connect? This is my question to you. How do we connect from that thinking, I'm seeing the wave, to knowing when to hop on the board and stay there? And how do I ground myself to stay there?
It's a great question. And we got to help you feel, brother. Got to help you stay present. Well, it's an interesting thing you said. We overvalue the thinking mind so much because it is very helpful, and it has a proven track record of helping us move through life. Though one of the epidemics that I see, pandemic, if you will, I'm not talking about COVID here. We're talking about people not being able to feel. Right? It's thinking, thinking, thinking all day, and they don't stop to really ask themselves how they feel about something. And the door into feeling is through the present moment. The door into the present moment comes through two things, I like to say. One, gratitude. Like we said, turn around, look back on the mountain. What are you grateful for? You came all this way up, and it brings you right back to that moment. Grateful for my wife, grateful for my kids, grateful for my home, grateful for the sky, for the trees, the animals, the life inside of me. Oh, wow, okay, I'm really here. And then the second part, the breath. Your breath is your connection to go from the mind into the body. Why? Because the mind rarely is in the present unless you're hyper focused on the task that you're getting done right now. Like maybe you're putting up a door or you're building a chair, right? You carpentry or something. So the mind is typically in the future, worrying about what's going to happen next, producing anxiety or worry or stress.
That's
Or
me
it's in
in the stock market, right? and and,
the
and the interest rate.
absolutely. That's me sometimes when I've got an event organized. Man, we only have like 10 people signed up. We have space for 40. God, I'm stressing. Like, people are going to show up. Whoever needs to show up, though. And then the mind, what I was saying is, or it's either in the past, thinking about, boo-hoo, look what was done to me. Uh, Poor me. I'm depressed. I'm
Pobrecito. Yeah.
pobrecito. Yes. And so it's either living in stories or it's making up stories about the future, right? Doing one of those two things. And so if you can connect to your breath, it connects you to your lungs, to your throat, to your chest, and it brings your attention, your energy, because we all have one point of focus, one point of awareness. Whoever tells you that they multitask is lying. They're just moving from task to task really fast. We have one point of focus, one point where we direct our energy. Where focus goes, energy flows. We know that. We have that in our hearts. We should have that tattooed on our arms.
I have it on
And
my
it's
office, right on the wall.
beautiful. Exactly. And so if we can train that focus to focus on the breath, it becomes a bridge into the body. And the body is what feels. The mind doesn't feel. The mind labels your emotions and it creates the chemical cocktail that is a reaction from the emotion, the sensation that you feel in your nervous system in the body. But it's not where the emotions lie. It's just the program. It's the computer. But in the body, there's a great book called The Body Keeps the Score, and it's all about how in thematically we maintain our experiences in here. And so if we can come through gratitude, through the breath, into the body, into that feeling of the present moment, then we can start to tap into what we're really feeling. And our energy goes from being dispersed out into the future in the past or in just tasking away, but into the present. And that can be felt. Your wife will feel like, oh wow, Silvius, you're really here. If I reach out with my energy, I feel your energy here with me. And that is the key to presence, breath and gratitude. Now, most people are really, really shitty breathers. Let me tell you, the human beings are the worst breathers on the planet.
I breathe, yeah, through my mouth.
There's a study being done that they say that over 50% of people are mostly mouth breathers. And that leads to a whole series of health problems. Mouth breathing leads to snoring, leads to higher inflammation, leads to poor sleep, indigestion, IBS. If you're stressed and you have digestive problems, which probably most of the people that are listening to this have, it leads to poor sex because you have low circulation in your body. And it leads to a poor formation of the jaw and blocks your nose. So the more you breathe through your mouth, the less you're going to be able to breathe through your nose. That's a big problem.
Yeah, I think I had 3 surgeries already on my nose.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm still struggling breathing through my nose. And it's a practice, a lifetime practice probably of breathing through my mouth. Yeah, definitely something that I'm looking forward in correcting.
Well, most people, nobody teaches us how to breathe. And we spend so much time sitting on a chair like this or on our phones or on the computer or driving that naturally you get hunched over. And when we're hunched over, we're actually blocking our breathing mechanism.
Well, I just extended my back.
Right? You move your shoulders back, your rib cage can expand, your stomach can grow and push out your abdomen, and you get to increase your lung capacity and you get to actually breathe properly. Another thing that's really funny that most people don't account for and why they're such shitty breathers, or why they hold their breath so much, is what do most people do when they're about to take a picture, especially shirtless at the beach?
Oh God, you take a deep breath and you hold it. You
Yeah,
hold it. You suck
you
your
suck that
belly.
stomach.
You suck that. Yeah, you're like, look at me.
Yeah, so unconsciously, a lot of people, especially women, but men too, they're walking around kind of fucked like this, especially if you're at a party and you're wearing something tight, right? You're like, got it all tight. And so many things that we do throughout the day start to train our subconscious or unconscious mind to be really bad at breathing, to not take deep breaths. And so if we can start a breath work practice, if we can start to learn different techniques and appreciate why this is so damn important, because if you breathe right, you will cure your sleep apnea, you'll cure your snoring, you will you will cure your sinus infections, which so many people have. You'll increase your digestion. Your metabolism will go up. You'll have, like I said, you'll have better sex. You'll last longer in bed because your circulation is much better, and you'll be more present and calm and less stressed. Your nervous system will start to heal itself. Most people have like imagine your nervous system is like a really frayed wire, right? It's just like doing this, and it's just about to snap. Well, if we can start to consciously breathe through our nose, then that starts to. I'm sure you've heard about sympathetic versus parasympathetic nervous system reaction. Most people are in sympathetic. Once again, all gas, no brakes.
Yeah, that's why I do cold showers. So for the same exact reason, it just calms me down. It just brings me to a point of extreme where the fight and flight first, that's what kicks in, but then it gets shut down.
Cold
Okay.
showers great, and they're great for dopamine. My goodness,
Yeah, I lost you there for a second. You're back.
I'm back.
So tell
The
us,
cold showers are great.
yeah, the Jim Wolf, I think Jim Wolf was
Wim Hof.
Wim Hof. Yeah, okay, I got it wrong. He's the pioneer. He was the first one that I've heard doing it, and he was breaking all these impossible limits, going up on the mountains almost naked and doing all these things. So I tried it just out of curiosity, see how it works. I hated it. It didn't, yeah, it didn't do anything for me except giving me shivers and, feel like shit. But then when I start waking up earlier and earlier, that cold shower just put me right into being alert 100%. I did it this morning. I do it every day now. And now I feel,
The cold shower is fantastic. It's great for your nervous system because it's actually the cold shower won't heal your nervous system, because it is a stressor, but it's healthy stress because it's training you for the stress of the day, right? If you can sustain the stress of a cold shower, then the rest of the day is a piece of cake. And also, when you're taking a cold shower, you're getting a release of dopamine in the brain. Dopamine is the chemical that allows us to, is our motivation chemical. And so if you can take a cold shower, you really see a doubling in dopamine for at least 3 to 4 hours after the cold shower. And so you have so much more motivation, if you will, natural chemical, neurochemical motivation to actually do things. And as well as your cortisol levels go up. And cortisol is that stress hormone. And so it's healthy cortisol because you're like, okay, I am ready to attack the day. So cold showers are great, though. What we really want to focus on, and I think this is what you first were calling me about, is how can we start to release that stress, perhaps at the end of the day or in those stressful moments, so we can drop into the body, into the present moment, start to feel and stop that, that runaway mind that's just like, oh my god, okay, the stress, the interest rates, and the economy, and how do I do this and the deal, and it's going to get done, and you know
that's
all these
exactly
different
what
things.
I wanted to ask you now. So we as entrepreneurs right now, we're facing decisions all the time. And decisions are with big amounts, big numbers. Most of people can't take them. And now like never before, I am dropping, I'm working, I'm doing all my possible best with the tools I have without using breath work, but using everything else that I possibly know. I'm dropping that decision into my body and I'm asking myself, how do you really feel, Silvius, about this thing? And what I notice, I get shivers. And most of the times I'm like, no. I'm like, what am I doing? Every time I ask, my body's going to say no. I feel the same way every time. So now I realize I don't know how to ask my body the right questions all the time. I know about the test, right?
Muscle
Especially,
test.
yes, the muscle test. I'm not doing that when I'm buying a house or doing an investment, right? I'm not doing the muscle test. But now through other decisions, I'm working on using my body to see how I feel about it. I get
Yeah. Well,
bad
why not?
feedback.
Why not muscle test it?
Well, because it's not a routine. It's something that I remember now that I spoke with you, and now I remember when my first mentor told me about it. My spiritual mentor Mile from Connecticut taught me. He asked me to do it, and I did a few times, but then it didn't become a practice. I'm gonna have to integrate it in my daily practices.
I
But
highly suggest you do, and you'll get weird looks because people will say, "What are you doing with your arm?" I'm just like, "Hey, I'm just muscle testing, man. I'm
yeah,
just
I
doing
don't.
how I feel about it."
I'm a grown up. I don't really care what people are saying or doing around me anymore. I graduated from that state of mind when I was, influenced by other people on my own decisions. But now that's one. What other exercises do you have? Like, how do I drop into my body? Like, can we do a breath work exercise? I know we got a few more minutes left, and I don't want to go over your time. I appreciate you being.
Absolutely, absolutely, my pleasure. So I thought about this for a bit because you asked me earlier what exercise we can give people that will be most effective and will allow them to drop into their body. And the most effective exercise that I know that is quick and simple to be able to do is one, lower your stress levels, put you into a parasympathetic response, allow you to listen to your body, is what's called the cyclical sigh. And the cyclical sigh is a breathing technique. I didn't invent it. I got it from somebody else. And it is so simple. It can be done sitting in the car, standing up in line at the grocery store, wherever you might be. And it's not one that is like, okay, I got to get in very meditative space. I got to light my candle. I got to, all these conditions that we set ourselves to do. This one is simple. And in 1 minute, will help you relax, tap in to see how you're feeling and listen. And the way it's done is 2 inhales in through the nose, and you can either exhale through the nose or exhale through the mouth, whatever you feel most comfortable with. I would suggest exhaling through the nose first because that will really help slow you down, and it's going to start to heal your sinuses. See, most people have clogged noses, right? They say, "Oh, I can't breathe through my nose because it's always clogged." No. Your nose is always clogged because you're not breathing through it. When we breathe through our nose, we start to bring in oxygen to the sinus membrane, the mucous membrane. And when we bring in blood and oxygen, that starts to decrease inflammation. It starts to flush whatever's happening there. And so even if you have to force it or just go really slow, nose breathing is really the only way. The nose is made for breathing, the mouth is made for talking and consuming, and other extracurricular activities that we won't mention on this podcast. But the nose, the breath work, cyclical sigh, 2 inhales in. The first inhale through the nose, you breathe in about 80% of your capacity. Second inhale, the extra 20%. And then you exhale. Inhale in through the nose. Inhale, exhale. You can even close your eyes, sit back on your chair, push your shoulders back, and start to pay attention to your stomach. What's happening in your stomach? What you want to do is you want to inflate the belly, expand the stomach, the abdomen as you're inhaling, right? Think about physics, think about physiology. If you're sucking in your stomach while you're inhaling, you're constricting your lung capacity. You're not able to get as much air in. And so when you inhale, you want to expand that belly, pretend as if you're making a big, pregnant, big belly after Thanksgiving dinner. So we're going to go again. Ready? Inhaling in through the nose, expanding the stomach. A little more. Exhale through the nose. I'm going to call 1, 2. 1, inhale. 2, inhale. Exhale. 1, 2, exhale. And 1, 2, exhale. And you'll naturally, if you want to keep going, you can naturally feel your shoulders just start melting down, your jaw relaxing, your brow softening, and you can start to notice where your energy is. It's like it feels like a ball of energy in your body where all your attention is, where your focus is. You'll most likely notice that as you're doing this breath and you're listening to me, all your energy is just right behind your forehead and your prefrontal cortex. This is your thinking mind. This is where the ego lives. This is where we process things. And so as you're breathing, you want to take that focus, that awareness, and just start to breathe it down, move it down your face, down your throat, into your chest, into your heart space. And keep breathing. And as your attention goes into your heart, this is the place where you can start asking questions. There has been proof, scientific proof, that we have neurons in the heart, neurological cells in this heart space, meaning we can think with our heart. If you're still breathing with us, that's fantastic. Inhaling in through the nose, sip a little more, exhale. If you're really stressed or you're really hot, you can exhale through the mouth, inhale in again, exhale. And as you drop into that heart space, you've crossed that bridge from the mind into the heart. You can ask any question you like. How do you feel about this? What's the truth? And if you can keep your attention, your focus into your heart space, you will get an answer. You might not hear it explicitly out loud, but you will have a feeling. Typically yes or no. So listen. This is your connection. This is where you act from. The mind is a computer, but who's really in charge? The heart. Heart is your seat. Consciousness here is where your intuition lies. This is your connection. Tap the heart, thank yourself, and you can come back into your space. Open your eyes back again. You're in the present.
Feels very bright though. Well,
Feels
thank
very
you so
quiet.
much. Yeah, it's so quiet. It's so nice.
So that is a cyclical sigh, the most effective technique from moving to stress, fight or flight or freeze response to your rest and recovery parasympathetic response. I suggest you practice this, you and your listeners, practice this before you eat. Just take a minute, 30 seconds, before you start inhaling your food. Do this. Watch your digestion improve. You can do this before you go to bed. You can do this before you go on an important call, before you talk to your spouse if you're getting angry at her or him. And
Yeah, it's so powerful.
at
Well,
any moment.
I
Yeah.
noticed
Or
my
if you
belly
just get
was
off a really stressful call or someone pissed you off, go to that. Really, it will make a massive difference.
Thank you
You
so
were saying?
much for your time, and thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I noticed my belly was going the opposite direction while I was breathing. Instead of inflating, was going in while I was breathing. I was inhaling, was shrinking instead of going. So as soon as I change that, I start paying attention to that area of my body. So literally move the focus from the thinking mind into the heart. That's amazing. That's great. Thank you for sharing with us. I really appreciate it. The only breath work that I've been exposed to was through Reiki, and my teacher Magda. I've did the box work, the box breath.
Box breathing.
Yeah, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the only one that I did. But this is interesting. I'm definitely going to work on it. Thank you so
Box breathing
much.
is normally the one that I teach, though box breathing, sometimes people can, in their minds, create conditions and complicate it and say, oh no, I don't have time to sit here and count. Okay, great. Go to what I just taught you, cyclical
Yeah,
time. It's much easier. Same
this
effects.
is this is so easy. This was like I was expecting some complicated exercise, and this threw me off. It's so simple to actually bring you to the present moment. It's amazing, actually. I'm gonna practice all day, and hopefully I'm gonna introduce this into my habits because it's very, very important. Thank you so much, Salvatore. Now, if my listeners would like to reach you, what avenues do we have? I see here you have a website, salva.live, right?
That's it. www.salva.live. That's my website where you can reach out to me by email. That's where my schedule is. So that's where I have my live events. I'm traveling right now through Norway doing breathwork events. We do holotropic breathwork. This is a completely different type of breathwork. This is a healing breathwork, which you get to clean out your nervous system and move through trauma. And it's somatic release. People scream, cry, laugh, shake, all kinds of really cool stuff. It's a great way to heal. Though the best way to reach me is through Instagram or Facebook at salva.liberti or at salva.live two accounts on them always. And you can send me a message if you want to learn more about breath work. What we do have coming up in July is a workshop called The Power of Breath. This is one of my favorite things to teach because it is a deep dive for 2 hours into pretty much everything we just talked about, how to manage your nervous system, go from sympathetic to parasympathetic response, different breathing techniques to do that. And also we talk about breath works that are able to energize you. So things like the breath of fire, how to cleanse your chakras with the breath work, and how to repattern your breathing. So that way you can start to heal your abdomen, your back, your vagus nerve, your stress in your body. And so through the breath, we're able to heal inflammation, improve circulation, better your posture, better your strength, your performance in the gym, performance in bed, at work, more energy, better digestion. All these things are available to you through the power of breath. That's an online workshop through Zoom. So if people want to register for that or ask more questions about it, I'm happy to help.
Yeah, that sounds like something that I'm going to be signing up for right away. So you said if I go to Salva Live, that's when I'm going to find the workshop, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
We have 2 dates in mid-July. One is for European Standard Time, and then the other one is for East Coast and Pacific Coast as well. Though if you want to work on breathing rehabilitation, which is a big part of what I do, helping people who are just so far gone in their breathing that they need to rehab that, it's like physical therapy, but for your breath.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate your time, and thank you for the teachings. Looking forward in learning more, and let's keep in touch. Thank you. Have a great day.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Silvi.
Thank you, brother.
Thank
It was
you.
a pleasure.
Always. Thank you.